Today is Eureka Grade 2, Module 2, Lesson 1. Connect measurement with physical units by using multiple copies of the same physical unit to measure. I decided I wanted to build something the other day. I grabbed my red toolbox, and while I was staring at my red toolbox, I thought, I wonder how long that toolbox is. Now, I couldn't find my tape measure, but I did have 1-inch cubes that I decided I would measure with. So I started laying them out one at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it! My toolbox is 5 inches long. It's not? You think there's something wrong with the way I measured? Oh, I see. I have a lot of spaces. You may have noticed that I left some really large spaces in between my 1-inch squares. I even have an overlap at the end of my toolbox. That's not going to give me a very accurate measurement, is it? I need to slide those 1-inch squares together. So I decided I would try again. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's much better. Now all of my inches are lined up together in a row with no spaces between them. And you may have noticed that I did something very important. I started right on the edge of the toolbox on the left and ended where the toolbox ends on the right. These are called endpoints, where you begin and end your measurements. So that means this toolbox is 7 inches long. Well, I was having such a great time, I decided I'd measure a few more things, like my hammer. I got my square inches and I started laying them out, lining them up with my endpoint. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I seem to see a problem here. I have 5 square inches lined up, and I started at the end point, and I have them all connected together in a row, but I noticed there's a little bit of overlap on my hammer. I guess I could add another one, but then I noticed that there's a lot of overlap when I add another square inch. So I just decided I'll take that one away, and I'll leave it at 5, and I'm going to use a really special word to help me describe how long my hammer is. The word is almost. My hammer is almost 5 inches long because it really is close to 5 inches, a lot closer to 5 inches than 6. So I'm going to say my hammer is almost 5 inches long. Wow, this is fun. I want to do some more. Oh, here's my wrench. Let's try this one. The ends of my wrench are a little interesting. Some parts stick out further than others, so I decide to really mark my endpoints so I know where one end starts and one end ends. Then I line up my square inch cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I notice again that there's a little bit of overlap. This time it overlaps beyond my endpoint. But I remember I have that word almost. I can use that word. As long as my measurement is really close, I can use that word to help describe how long it is. So I'm going to say that my wrench is almost 6 inches long. Oh, this is great. Let's do one more. Here are my nails. 1, 2. Oh, again, I noticed there was some overlap, so I add a third. But then there's a lot of overlap, so I really have to think, do I really need that extra square inch? I decide no. I'm going to use that special word, you got it, almost, and say it's almost 2 inches long. Wow, we are good at this. We can line up our endpoints so that we begin and end as close to the end points of whatever it is we're measuring. We make sure that our units are lined up and are close together. There's no spaces between them. And we can use the word almost if something is close, but a little more or a little less. Now, what can you use to measure with at home? While you're at home, I want you to look around and see, do you have pennies? You could measure in pennies, just making sure each of the ends lined up along whatever it was you were measuring. You could use blocks that are all the same size. You could use paper clips lined up end to end to measure with. Maybe your mom has some bobby pins you could use. Or you could even use a paper clip. There are many other things you can use. Today for your math assignment, you will need to find some sort of unit to measure with, but now it needs to be the same. You wouldn't want to measure with a penny and a block and a clothespin. You want to make sure that whatever unit you're going to measure with, you have multiple units to measure with. So if you're going to use pennies, you need multiple pennies to line up and measure with so that your measurements will be in penny lengths. If you're using blocks, make sure you have multiple blocks so that your measurements are in block lengths. If you're using clothespins or bobby pins or paper clips, you will do the same. Make sure you have multiple units and that it's the same unit. They're all the same size and the same length. You'll be able to complete your assignment on Seesaw if you find something to measure with. Happy measuring!